What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Ana Kasparian, and we have another double-decker show for you guys. Now, this one is definitely light on the serious news stories, very heavy on the salacious stuff, but we're going to have a fun conversation because we have two returning panelists that you guys all love. We have Dave Rubin, who hasn't been on the show in a while, but I'm glad you're back.
It's good to be back. And I know people in high places when it comes to The Point.
Now, for those of you who don't know Dave Rubin, you're ridiculous. You should check him out on youtube.com/The Rubin Report. He's the host of The Rubin Report for the TYT Network. And we also have Gina Grad. She's also a returning panelist and host of the Gina Grad Show on iTunes and iHeartRadio. Gina, loving the sock bun.
Thank you.
Rocking it.
And is it R.I.P. to you in the sock bun life now?
Not forever.
Okay.
I cut my hair. It's much shorter, so sock bun situation wouldn't really work. But I'm glad that this is forcing me to keep my hair down because I was putting my hair up like 5 days a week.
You look like a really sexy astronaut wife. Like just very, it's very, you know what I mean? Very clean, very like sexy, but like put together.
Thank
if that
you.
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know that I can add much to the sock bun thing because I obviously haven't done it in years. But my great grandma used to have the bun, and I remember going into her bedroom once when I was like 8 or 9. And it was not attached to her. It was a fake bun.
Yes,
she had a fake bun. That's like a real thing.
A lady has to have her secrets.
Shit.
All right.
Serious stuff.
So aside from my haircut, what are we talking about on the show today? We are actually going to revisit the two most viral stories we covered on The Point. We're going to give you an update on the VH1 show that accidentally showed a woman's vagina. And I'm actually going to respond to a comment I read in the original video we did. We're also revisiting the worst tattoos of all time. Apparently you guys like that topic, so we're bringing you back some fresh, new, devastating tattoos. And then we're going to get to some new stuff. Tom Ford's penis crucifix, what the fuck is that? I'll tell you. And
I love that band, by the way.
And also 6 crazy things people used to think about vaginas. All right, so let's move on to the very first topic. Earlier this year, we did a story about a VH1 reality show known as Naked Dating, right? Now, of course, people are going to be into this, nudity, dating. I mean, what could go wrong? Well, it turns out that in one scene, VH1 forgot to censor a woman's vagina. Now, the person that was on the show, Jessie, was outraged by this, and so she attempted to sue for a huge amount of money. If you don't remember the video or the story we did, take a look at this. And one of the stars, a woman by the name of Jessie, was unfortunately portrayed completely naked in one scene. Now, unfortunately, we can't show you the uncensored version, but this was the shot where they showed her Nana, and it was a no-no for her. She was really unhappy about it. All right, so there's the story. Those are the details. What is the update? It turns out that her case has pretty much been shut down, I should say. Why? Because she's on a fucking show called Dating Naked, okay? So she actually signed consent forms stating that she would be naked on the show, and in some cases, she might be shown completely naked, right? The agreements that she signed as a condition to participate on the program are described by the producers as unequivocal in that Dating Naked was confirmed the right to film her in the nude, that the footage would be telecast without restriction, and that she waived any claims arising out of her appearance on the show. Before I get to the panelists so you guys can make your point, I want to actually respond to one of the comments on the original YouTube video we did. It has the most number of upvotes. The person commented arguing that I'm against showing leaked images of those celebrities, right? There was that big hack and all these celebrity nudes were all over the internet, and I was condemning those who did the hack and condemning those that were showing it in the media. And then they made the argument that, well, you're showing this girl's vagina on the show, what the hell? First of all, we showed you a censored version of it so you guys can understand why this woman was suing. We didn't show you her pussy, okay? And another thing that I want to state is there's a little difference between someone consenting to be on a show called Naked Dating and then celebrities who have done nothing wrong having their personal privacy violated like that. If you don't understand that, then you have some issues. Let's open it up to the panel. Dave, let me start with you. Make your point.
Well, my point is that I can picture the lawyers that when the guy got the thing and he was like, whoa, someone's suing because somebody's vagina was showing on TV, and he's looking at the paper and he's like, we got a serious case. I'm going to make a, oh, it was Dating Naked. That was the name of the show. So I guess we're probably not going to win this case.
Yeah. Gina, I think that's a great point. What about you?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I would just like to take this time to remember my favorite scene ever from Arrested Development, where they're talking about something that happened in Saudi Arabia, and they're saying, oh, this is the rolling hills and this is the desert, and they take a closer look, and Henry Winkler goes, no, those are balls. It's just a zoom in close up. So it's basically the same thing. This woman she didn't have a leg to stand on or a vagina labial lip.
All right, so here's the question for the story. Have you ever had to suffer the consequences of making a really bad decision? Gina, I'm going to start with you.
It's because I'm making this face.
Yeah.
I've had to learn a lot of things the hard way in terms of being on the radio. I've sort of been able to cultivate how much I am now willing to share and what makes sense to me and what's sort of a meaningful split between my personal life and feeling like I'm being authentic when I'm talking to people.
Right.
One really important milestone in my life was when I was doing a big radio show in LA that I used to do all the time. And I really overstepped my own personal comfort zone by explaining a lot of stuff that was going on in my personal relationship. And after I did that, first of all, my boyfriend, who had every right to be upset, was understandably angry. I felt like I betrayed myself, I betrayed him, and that actually took me a long time to get over and get him to forgive me, to forgive myself. And that actually was a great learning experience for me because now I've sort of found a way to finesse the situation. And I never lie, but I share what I'm comfortable with, I hold back what I'm not comfortable with, and then I can just do what I do with confidence.
Wow. Wow, that's a really good life lesson, something that I can probably learn from. So.
I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure everyone in the world of talk and whatever it is that we do, there's probably a bajillion examples that we could all think of.
Absolutely.
Of that.
Well, what about you, Dave? Why don't you give an example?
Well, I'll go to the career thing as well. I remember when I first started stand-up, I was maybe 2 years in, and my first couple of years I was really successful when I was very young, or in the stand-up world in New York. And I remember there was a club that I really wanted to work at, and I had cultivated a little relationship with the owner there. And one night, basically, he said to me something to the effect of, like, you're not ready yet. You know, you've only been doing this 2 years. All the guys we have on stage have been 8, 10-year guys and paid all their dues. And I basically went off on him like a young hotshot, which in retrospect make no sense because stand-up, George Carlin says it takes 4 years before you even have any sense of what you're doing, and I was 2 years in, and I basically went off on the guy, and I don't think I ever worked at the club again until he left, which was like 6 years later.
Did it feel good, though, to go off on him in that moment?
In the moment it did, but I swear to you, I remember, as I was saying it, I remember thinking I'm gonna regret this, but once it had started already, you have to just let it go.
Your caveman brain took over, that's what they call it.
Completely took over, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, in those moments it feels real.
No, it feels good. It feels good.
All right, so let me talk about my bad decision. I don't know if I've made any bad decisions. I feel like I make good decisions. No. Okay, but to be completely honest with you guys, I guess like a regret that I have is being naive enough to think that people are inherently good, because this job has exposed me to what people are really like, and not within our company. I mean, magically, people in our company are inherently good, but working in this show and getting the feedback that I do on a regular basis makes me realize that people are vicious and they're terrible, and it's making me a bitter, angry human being. So I have smartened up, and I'm no longer naive, and now I just assume that everyone sucks. So I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't assume that everyone sucks. The executive producer is like, wrap it up, wrap it up. No, but you have to understand that not everyone is in the same bubble that you're in, and there are people out there that are vicious, and you need to not let them get under your skin, as they have been doing to me recently. Anyway, but comment in the section below. Tell me what you guys think. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you guys soon. Our second best performing video of the year on The Point was the world's worst tattoos. You guys seem to really, really like that topic, and we're actually bringing it back with some fresh tattoos that we can all judge and make fun of. So look, I feel bad because these are permanent mistakes that people have made, but nonetheless, we don't show you their identity, and let's discuss. Let's take a look at the first one.
Oh, Lord Jesus, why?
Tim Burton loves chess.
Oh, God. That's
I guess
horrible.
we do show you their identity.
Yeah, that's a little identity there.
Once you go black, you never... I kind of like that one.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not aesthetically pleasing, but I think it's cute.
She's a terrible person who means well.
Yeah.
Oh, Anna. Oh, poor Anna.
Poor Anna.
I think that tattoo is
It's
fine.
a bit much.
It's fine.
It's a bit much.
Let's move on.
Anna.
Joe's what? Prickly cucumber?
Pink.
Joe's pink
Oh,
flapper.
flapper.
And Sarah's prickly Oh.
Romance.
Wow, that's.
You know what? At the end of the day, I'm glad those two found each other, and this guy deserves the Darwin Award.
I mean, this one is something. This is like, I get it why it's he has a skin condition, although by her foot, her upper foot.
Yeah.
No, because somebody grabbed him and was like, what the hell is wrong with you?
That's hilarious.
I mean,
I'm glad that
that's
he didn't
important.
actually get into detail
You know
about the
what?
vagina.
I respect this guy because so many people you actually have to get to know before you realize you don't want to be friends with them, and
Right.
this guy puts it out there.
Yeah, transparency is the best policy.
Yeah, but what is he really like? Do you think he really is a racist and he's going, this is who I am? Or is he flipping it on? Oh, yeah, he's got a swastika, sort of.
Yeah.
Or something by his eye, too.
He didn't want you to have to get too close to him. Oh, he's a brand ambassador.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Virgin on hold. She's,
Void. Oh,
Void. Void.
Oh, because she's pregnant?
like
Question mark?
this is the type that a woman gets when she's probably, this girl's probably like 21 or something, and that she regrets she has to regret
You know
that
what?
the rest of her life.
And
right?
out of everything to regret, I regret the font. Because that is a big,
It's
bold
yes.
statement.
Wow.
No ledges power.
That can't be.
That's gotta be a
can't
joke.
be a real tattoo. That looks like it's drawn on by someone. That is
You
fucking
are
terrible.
overestimating.
Well, if you can't spell knowledge,
race.
I
maybe
know.
you shouldn't
Again,
go
it's
into the
that
tattoo
naive
business.
nature that I have. Taco Bell,
Oh,
okay.
man.
All right.
Right above the butt, which
You know
is, where Taco Bell can often affect you
Rear
the
its
most.
ugly head.
Oh my God. All right. So those are some questionable
Wow.
tattoos. I mean, we made our points throughout the story,
Yeah.
but I do have a question related to this. If you had to get a tattoo of your significant other's name or your boyfriend's name, or a religious symbol, which would you choose? You have to pick one of them. Dave, let me
Yes,
start
well,
with you.
I certainly would not go religious symbol, so I would go with my boyfriend, now fiance. It's very edgy, a gay getting married. It's very hip and cool these days. And his name is David. And although I go by Dave, my name obviously is David. So I guess getting my own name, that's like the worst, most...
That's actually pretty freaking
like,
bad.
yeah, like-
I would go with the religious symbol.
Yeah.
I would go. There's nothing worse than seeing someone getting their own name tattooed on them. But
Right.
I mean, you go by Dave, so if you did David, it would be fine.
Right, but what
Like,
if...
this is my pretentious spirit animal version of myself.
What's when you get the tattoo like right above the butt? What do they call that?
tramp
Tramp
stamp.
stamp.
The tramp stamp. So
Or
if
the
I, had
bullseye.
if I had a tramp stamp of my own name, that's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, that's weird.
That's true. That would be-
Okay, what
that'd be
about
pretty
you?
bad.
Oh, so, well, oddly enough, it's against my religion, the religion that I was raised in, to get tattooed, and I'm not really a big religion, I'm not really religious. That being said, I would have to go with the Star of David because
That's really
David's the theme.
Yeah.
But also, I feel more permanence to that than any guy I've ever dated, or I'd still be dating about a dozen dudes.
By the way, can I just throw in for the record that this thing about Jews and the tattoos, it's not true. People
What?
just believe
What?
that it's not true. I know several dead Jews that had tattoos.
But were
that
they
are
buried in a Jewish
yeah,
cemetery? Did
fully
they
it's
tell anybody?
No, that they knew it.
I did not know. That's the first I'm hearing of this. But that's the other thing. Like I'm not a religious person. I don't spend a lot of my time, doing religious things. But culturally, like identify, I think it's a wonderful culture. I think it's a wonderful group of people for the most part, and I identify more with them than any of the dudes from college that I messed around with.
Nice. I feel like I feel like
Nice.
I'm in a lose-lose situation, just because my boyfriend's name is Christian.
Yeah.
So it's like
Right.
I don't know. I guess I would just get Christian tattooed on me.
You get Christ. And
Christ.
then
No, I don't know. I think I would probably do like a very small religious symbol, maybe like a little. I was raised Christian, even though I'm an atheist now. I don't know. I guess I would get like a little cross, and then at some point cover it up. I mean, when we haven't discussed where we would get it, I would get it in a place where no one would see it.
what about a Cuban cigar?
Oh my! Are we talking about his penis or an actual cigar?
No, I'm just saying whatever you want to put. I know you enjoy the Cuban cigar.
I can't get enough of that Cuban cigar. Anyway, but I want to know what you guys think. What would you choose? Would you rather have a religious symbol or your significant other's name tattooed on you? And what do you think about the tattoos? We love hearing from you, so comment in the section below, and we'll see you guys soon. A&E has greenlit a new reality show featuring a pastor who tries to convince prostitutes to stop prostituting in 8 minutes. Now, when I first read about this, I thought that it was disgusting, and then I read a little more into it, and I thought it was a little less disgusting, but I still don't agree with the show. Now, let me give you guys the details. It's a series that features a former cop turned pastor by the name of Kevin Brown, and he is basically meeting these prostitutes in a hotel room. They think that they're going to meet for sex, but of course he's there because he's going to try to do an intervention. And then he tries to rescue them from a life of selling sex for cash, right? In each episode, he only has 8 minutes to make his case, which makes it sound more like a game show as opposed to something that's supposed to help these women. Now, the executive producer had this to say about the host. Brown told his congregation that for 20 years, he's had to arrest these women when what he's really wanted to do was help them. It launched a drive within his church to run these undercover operations. We read and thought somebody should put a camera on this because we can make a lot of money from it. It's the most incredible thing I've ever heard. All right, so...
I like how you editorialized with the deep voice so that we knew that that wasn't actually in the quote. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, very nice.
Now, I'll make my point, but I want to hear from you guys first. Gina, make your point.
I don't know. I'm with you. I thought the concept is utterly ridiculous and super tacky and demoralizing. But then I'm like, well, wait a second. He's trying to do a good thing. And if you could throw some popularity and money behind it, you know, maybe you'll get more support than you would have if you were just going rogue and trying to do this by yourself. I appreciate that he's trying to change people's lives. It seems like it's being done in a way that, like, I don't know, there's a better way to do it. But in this day and age, if you don't have the support of a network, and if you don't have a ton of money behind it, nobody listens to you. So he's trying. I don't hate him for it.
All right.
I mean, this is just like a nonsensical, gross, spectacular. We're watching reality TV just eat itself. Like, if reality TV came out, people liked it for a while. We had some game shows, then it got really personal. Then we started, doing the pussy pictures like we talked about earlier. And now we're literally just watching it eat itself. Like, how much dumber and more manipulative can it get?
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't think we've hit the bottom yet.
Yeah, I have a few problems with this. So first of all, it just makes the assumption that everyone who's in the sex work industry is forced to be there, that they're being exploited. There are people there that genuinely want to be there. They like what they do. I'm not saying that that's the majority of women in the industry, but there are definitely some that are there because they want to be there. Another part of this that I don't like is the whole 8 minutes thing, right? And the reasoning that they gave, the producers, was, well, look, if they are, dealing with a pimp, you want to make sure that they get back within 8 minutes, because if they don't, then the pimp's going to be like, where's the money? You had sex, you're trying to hide it from me, and they might deal with the violent situation. I don't think I'm buying that. Cenk Uygur made a good point about this. He's like, I think it's more about making sure you have enough time to go to commercial breaks than anything else. And I just feel like it exploits people. Even if a woman doesn't want to be in that situation, don't turn it into a show. If you genuinely want to help these women, don't make it a reality show. That cheapens the charitable work that you're trying to do here, okay? Now, here's a question related to the story. Has anyone ever tried an intervention with you to change your behavior or lifestyle? Or how about you? Have you ever done it to someone else? Dave.
So I'm going to go serious here. I actually had a high school friend who got really mixed up in drugs, like pretty serious stuff. And over the course of like 10 years after high school, I would see him and he would always look worse, and he was in and out of drug rehab and stuff like that. And I felt one time that he was trying to reach out to me for a little bit of help, and I just wasn't in a great spot myself in life at that moment, and I didn't do more. And we never had an intervention of any kind, even though it was discussed among some friends. And unfortunately, he ended up dying, partly related, drug-related kind of stuff, without getting too medical on it. But so I just sort of have that now, that I know that somebody that I was really close to isn't here anymore, and maybe I could have done something, and I didn't.
Wow. Gina.
And another serious tip, I have an exactly the opposite situation. There was a friend that we were all very worried about, to the point where we wanted to do something like that. And of course, we don't have any experience in this type of thing. So I went to a professional and said, hey, we're really worried about this guy. This is what we're going to do. We've had enough of watching him destroy his life. We're just putting it all on the line once and for all. And she said, don't do that. And I said, what do you mean don't do that? That's what you're supposed to do. That's what A&E tells us to do. That's what you're supposed to do. She goes, Gina, think of somebody who is desperately trying to hide a problem they have and really isn't showing you any signs that they have any desire to change, their best friends coming together and calling them out in one big humiliating session is going to it has the potential to drive them so much farther away from you, so much farther down the rabbit hole, being so mortified, so humiliated, so betrayed by all of you. If there's not somebody orchestrating this very delicately, and if this, like you said, if this person hasn't shown you signs that they want to be helped, you have the capacity to make this so much worse.
Wow.
And that actually meant a lot to me. I ended up approaching them, myself, very kindly, very, very cautiously. And did what I could, but I am so grateful that we didn't do some big elaborate Ringling Brothers show that I thought you were supposed to do.
Yeah. I actually had a very similar experience. I had a really good friend of mine who was struggling with a serious, severe eating disorder, and she was just kind of wasting away in front of everyone, including myself. And I didn't know what to do because I did want to approach it in a mature way that wouldn't make the situation worse. And there were talks about an intervention, but I knew that that wasn't the right way to go about it because the way that it's portrayed on television could be really damaging. I mean, it's like a group of friends ganging up on one person who's going through something really traumatic. And so
private.
And very private. So the way that I handled it was I actually wrote her a really, really heartfelt and super sensitive email and just let her know, like, you don't look healthy. I want to be here. You're my really good friend. This is it. Like, I'm not going to pry into this, but if you want help, I'm here for you. And thankfully, right after that, she got therapy and everything worked out. So
that's great.
I mean, I'm lucky it worked out that way. I should have probably talked to a professional as well, but
it sounded like it worked out.
Yeah, it did. All right, guys. Well, I know that this got very serious, but we do want to hear from you as well. Have you ever been the subject of an intervention, or have you ever participated in one? We want to hear from you. Comment in the section below, and as always, we'll see you guys soon. In a story that's sure to make people in the MRA community very, very upset, scientists have just published a new study in the British Medical Journal about the male idiot theory, or what they refer to as MIT. Now, the male idiot theory, it's funny because I sound like an idiot.
The male internet theory is that's something else altogether.
All right. The authors actually examined records of 300 individuals who had won the Darwin Award. For those of you who don't know what a Darwin Award is, it's people who have died over the last 20 years, specifically in this study, because of doing really, really dumb things. And those who are given this honor are usually applauded or commended because they've taken their genes out of the, gene pool. And so this is disastrous because all the scientists did is they looked at these 300 people who got the Darwin Award over the last 20 years, and they realized that a whopping 88% of them were males. So what does this really come down to? It's about risky behavior. Men are more likely than women to engage in risky behavior that could get them killed. Women are more interested in nurturing and taking care of their kids, staying in a safe environment, being protected. You guys get the point. There's some gender stereotypes here, but the numbers are the numbers. Out of 300 people, 88% were male. So I want to hear what you guys have to think about this. Dave, let me start with you. Make your point.
Yeah, men are idiots. I mean, that doesn't really surprise me when I think of all the stupid shit that I've done in my life, mostly in college with, booze related. And girls do plenty of stupid stuff too. But yes, guys, turn on Jackass. It's mostly guys. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, that's
mostly because we have balls and people love us getting hit with things in our balls.
I don't have much to say about this story, but the one thing that I will say is I never understood the appeal of Jackass.
There's something about watching people do the stupidest. You're gonna ride a bike off a 5-story building with no helmet. You're gonna have someone drop a watermelon from 800 feet high right on your nuts.
I don't want to see people get hurt. I don't know. I was never into it. Never. But Gina, what about you?
That reminds me, in one of my favorite movies of all time, Idiocracy, the biggest show on television everyone loves is Ouch My Nuts.
Yeah.
And it's just people getting hit in the nuts over and over again.
Yeah.
And I love that this study comes out of, something that, like researchers got together.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to figure it out yourself. Yeah. It didn't really take much work either. You just look at the number of people who got the Darwin Award.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh, look, what a coincidence. 88% of them are men. Wow. Here's the question for the story. I want to flip this on its head, okay? What's the most idiotic thing a woman has done? Gina.
Okay, so I used to work in high-end retail, and we were constant. I came to realize very quickly that we were also looked at as for sale in the shop every day. In fact, I wore a wedding ring, and it didn't deter anybody, but it did change the conversation. And I knew girls that I worked with that would be there one day and would not be there the next weekend. I go, where they go, oh, you remember that dude with that bought the cashmere suit? Yeah. Took her to Dubai. and bitch went. So I got, I was asked to go to Hawaii a number of times. I've still never been. And I was just like, I don't know this person. I don't want to end up chained to a radiator because, he has points on Southwest. That's not my life. But I knew a lot of girls who just up and went on vacations all over the world.
With random men?
Yeah, and I'm not hating. I also had those options. It just sounded fucking ridiculous.
I have never had that option. No one has ever, what the fuck? What's that all about?
Would you guys like to go to Hawaii with me?
Very much
Listen,
so.
we're going to wrap up the show in about a half hour. It's the holidays. Let's just get the hell out of here. 4 seasons? Would that work?
I'm down.
Everything I'm
I would go
doing.
anywhere with you, Dave.
Yeah.
Let's do
no
it.
Offense,
4
David.
seasons, Hawaii.
All right, so what about you? Tell me.
The stupidest thing that a girl that I know ever did was a very good friend of mine. She's still a good friend of mine. She had an apartment on Bleecker Street, which is one of the great streets in New York City in the Village, and it was rent controlled because of her mom or her aunt. So it had been, and I think her mom's aunt had it rent controlled before that. So literally since like 1950 or something, it was rent controlled. And if you know New York City and know anything about real estate, I mean, so that means they can only increase it like 0.5% a year or change it slightly. And anyway, and she lived in this amazing, amazing loft. It was awesome, this really beautiful, spectacular place. And she just one day was like, I've had enough of living here. Like she just wanted to change, you know what I mean? She wanted to get out of the neighborhood, just try something, which I can respect that. But then she realized she went from this amazing loft for literally like $300 a month, which is crazy in New York City, to now she lives on the Upper West and it's like probably $3,000, $3,500 a month. And it was just a quick decision in her mind. And I do think girls maybe do that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they're
just
a little more
spontaneous,
impulsive. And we get tired of things
sublet?
quickly. Like, I want to get new furniture in my apartment, and everything in my apartment looks great. Like, there's no reason for me to do it, but you want change, even though it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, so the stupidest thing, this is recent. It's fresh in my mind, which is why I'm bringing it up. Barbara Walters every year does her most fascinating people list. And the #1 person on her list this year is Huma Clooney, right? The woman, the humanitarian lawyer, amazingly intelligent, successful, established woman who married George Clooney. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because when Barbara Walters was introing her, she referred to Huma as the most fascinating woman because she was amazing enough to fascinate the most fascinating man. And then she went on to talk about what Huma wears. She went on to talk about what she looks like. She went on to talk about the most stereotypical, superficial elements of her, and that the most impressive achievement was that she married George Clooney. This woman has worked with the UN. She has worked alongside Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor. Like, she's an amazing woman. And you, Barbara Walters, someone who's had to deal with some serious sexism in your lifetime, in your career, have decided that you're going to focus on what she's wearing and who she married. I mean, I think that's pretty fucking stupid. So anyway, but I want to know what you guys think. Tell me what the most idiotic thing a woman has done in your life. We love reading these stories. And also, what do you make of this study? Do you think that it's accurate? Are you upset about it? Share in the comment section below, and we'll hear from you soon. Police in Indonesia are under fire after they started doing virginity tests or conducting virginity tests on women who wanted to be recruited into the police force. Now, Human Rights Watch did a report on this, and of course, they're the ones that condemned this and brought this to light. Now, here's the issue. The practice is sexist, it's painful, it's traumatizing, and also, as if this even matters, virginity tests are not even a good indicator of whether or not a woman is a virgin. So how do they do these tests? Of course, they check to see whether or not her hymen is intact, and they also check to see whether or not her vaginal opening is tight enough. Okay, again, not a real great way of figuring out whether or not a woman is a virgin, because some women are born without a hymen, and then how do you decide whether or not a vaginal opening is tight enough? It's absolutely disgusting. But this type of behavior and this type of thought process exists throughout the world, not just in Indonesia, and it's absolutely hideous and disgusting. It just totally demoralizes women, degrades them, and it makes it seem as though they're only worth one thing, their virginity. It makes me sick. Anyway, no one, neither a woman nor a man, should ever be compelled to endure this type of treatment. So Look, this is a more serious story on the show. I want to know what you guys think. Dave, let me start with you. Make your point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I can add anything that you didn't just say, but this reminds me of something that we've covered on my show a bunch of times, where there are countries, I think Egypt is one of them, where they test men to see if they've had gay sex.
How do you even do that?
But right, so how do you do that? It probably involves similar thinking, but it just goes to show how parts of the world are still so absolutely backwards, not only in the way that they treat women and gays, but then in their just basic scientific principles, because the people that are coming up with these tests are supposedly scientists too. So it's a condemnation of the whole system. It's just awful. Yeah.
Yeah, my first thinking when we talked about stories like that and stories like this, that the thinking I think behind these scientists are there's something sort of wrong or perverted or questionable about the person they're accusing. When ironically, of course, there is nothing pervier than what these people are doing to try to see if you stack up with their morality. So it's so ass backwards and perverted and nuts. I'll never understand
Think about how traumatizing that is, to have someone look at your, genitalia to determine whether or not you're a virgin. Like, ugh,
well, and that's
the
thing. You think of like in rape kits and things like that in a hospital, where presumably you have a staff that I would hope is super sensitive, going, I am so sorry that we have to do this. This is something we're going to do. It's going to be over quickly. I'm going to explain what's happening. Somebody that's on your side doing something that is almost as traumatic as the experience that you went through. This is that without anybody giving a shit about how you feel about it.
Absolutely. Here's the question for the story. Has someone ever assumed something about you that has held you back from an opportunity? Gina, let me start with you.
I don't really want to venture to say, I always feel like, thinking, well, that's why I didn't get it, because they thought I was there. But the one example that I do know for a fact is there's a lot of times, especially when we work in media, that, you're just not famous enough. You're just not a big enough name, and you're talented and you got a lot going on, but we need somebody who we know is going to drive eyeballs and earballs, and nobody knows who the fuck you are.
People love to play it safe.
Yeah.
And their idea of playing it safe is hiring someone that has a big name. But oftentimes, people with big names do mediocre jobs. Just keeping it real.
And then they do another mediocre job when they get hired for that next gig, too.
Exactly.
So mine, sort of jumping off that point, which obviously the three of us can relate to, I assume that people assume about me, because we do this online thing and we speak our minds freely and we say what we think, which is so out of the mainstream of what you see people like us doing on television. So if you think about people on Fox or CNN, MSNBC, whatever it is, so I assume that people probably in the biz have some preconceived notions of what my ability would be to go mainstream, because we've all been brought up in this world where we're free to say what we want and can have true opinions that aren't talked about on TV that much. So it's an assumption by me that they're assuming that about me, but I think it's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah, I think it's a safe assumption as well. There's no question about it. When you're brought up in the new media realm, people just assume that you know nothing about the mainstream. So I guess I have like a similar thing to say about that. I mean, I think that when you are working on a show like The Young Turks and you have a record of being really, really uncensored and saying bad words, which I do on the show on a regular basis, people think that you lack professionalism.
Yeah.
And then they won't hire you for those reasons. But here's my thinking behind that. If you're not going to hire me because I'm a human being who speaks to the audience like a human being and not a robot, then I don't want to work on your show. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of, I don't know, freedom and editorial freedom that comes along with doing a show like this. And so if you want to assume I'm unprofessional because I use language that everyone uses, then that's on you.
And let's also be honest, Anna, I think because you're a woman, it goes beyond being unprofessional. You're not being ladylike.
Right. And you guys know I'm not ladylike. And that's okay.
And that's a far bigger crime than being unprofessional.
Here's what I have no interest in. Being ladylike.
Amen.
Because that sounds pretty damn boring, and I like speaking my mind, and I like doing it aggressively when the situation calls for it. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. What are your thoughts on these virginity tests? Maybe some of you who are watching the show from other countries can actually relate to this. I know we have some viewers and fans in other countries. And also, has anyone ever assumed anything about you that has held you back? We love hearing from you guys, so please comment in the section below, and we'll see you soon. Tom Ford has created a new necklace that is causing a stir in the fashion world and also the religious world. It's referred to as the penis pendant necklace, which you can buy for a whopping $790. It looks like a penis crucifix, and that's why religious people are upset about it. Now, it features a penis with 2 testicles. You guys can see it in that image right there. And also, it's 18-karat white gold. That's also available, along with the yellow gold, as you saw in that image there. Perhaps what's more offensive than the way it looks is probably its price tag, $790 for that crucifix. But anyway, look, I'm not a religious person at all. I usually spend my time condemning some behavior of fundamentalists on this show on a regular basis. But I will say that this seems a little over the top, right? Like, you're going out of your way to offend people of a particular religion. Just, how about don't do that? Right? I just think it goes too far. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bad guy. Maybe this is supposed to be tongue-in-cheek. I have no idea, but I want to know what you guys think.
It's supposed to be tongue in something. Anna, if you brought me on this show to say anything bad about the penis, I'm sorry. I am not going to do it.
I love penis too, but I don't know. Just
you know what? I think the reverse of what you just said. Like, I think we have to you can't always kowtow to the religious people and religious sensitivities. So you know what? If you're religious and you don't like it, don't wear it.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's an artist. He's allowed to make it. I don't know who would wear the penis necklace, but because it's juxtaposing things,
who doesn't
and that's
want
really
a penis around your neck.
And that's what art is, I suppose. But yeah, he's allowed to make it, and they're allowed to be upset, and that's just kind of how the world works.
Yeah, I mean, look, to be clear about my opinion, of course he's allowed to make it, but do I like it? No, I don't like it. I think it just goes too far.
And by the way, part of what he's doing here is you make it knowing you're only going to sell 20 of those, but you get people to talk about it, and then they start looking at your other stuff. So.
Right. And by the way, Tom Ford, not that it really matters, but I didn't know this about him. I started researching the story a little more. Tom Ford is gay, and he's been with his partner since 1986. That's a long-term relationship. That was when I was born. That was a long-term relationship.
That's a long time.
Yeah, Gina, what about you?
I don't mean to be particularly naive or vision impaired, but it doesn't look particularly penis-y to me.
Right.
I mean, it almost looks more like a tomahawk or croquet set. It's whatever.
You're right.
It's not super penis and ballsy to me.
So what's interesting is if he didn't title it the penis pendant necklace, people probably wouldn't think of it as a penis.
No, and that's what I think. I think he is just doing it to get people to talk about it. And it is, if you don't like it, don't fucking buy it. It just doesn't look particularly penis-y to me.
Wait, can we put it up one more time? Because actually, it does sort of, you're right. It kind of looks almost like a bullet, right?
Yeah.
Like the wang itself looks like a bullet, and then like
But like the ball holders is where I feel like it's like maybe a sporting accessory.
A mallet of some kind.
Yeah. All right, so here's the question. What's something that you used to wear all the time that embarrasses you to think about today, Gina?
So, I used to be, okay, this is where things get hilarious. I used to be rail thin. And that's when I was really into super baggy clothes. And I loved this pair of, I was a freshman in college.
Were they
didn't know anything
Jinko
about
pants?
anything.
They were Jinko pants.
I don't know what that is.
Jinko were big pants.
Jinko pants are like those big raver pants that they used to wear back in the day.
Yeah.
No, I'll do you one better. I used to love wearing my boyfriend's grandfather's overalls because I was a hippie and I was like, I roll them up and but wait, it gets worse. I wasn't a raver. I didn't know what raving was, but somebody gave me a stupid little Elmo stuffed animal. I was like, well, that fits in the hole where the hammer goes, and I'd walk around like I was cool. It was
Wait a minute, you walked around in overalls with an Elmo in your pocket?
I was such an asshole.
Like that was your thing?
I don't know. I just remember like walking, and I can't even say this was high. Like I was a freshman in college. I didn't know what I was doing. I was probably high, but that's no excuse. I looked like an asshole. And it happened, and I have pictures.
Did you ever get laid in college?
I had a boyfriend for 3 years, and then I went to Israel and got a new boyfriend.
Was it Tickle Me
girl?
Elmo? Because that was big probably around then, right? Tickle Me Elmo, that's the thing.
Damn, Gina.
Just go to somebody else.
I wish we had a picture of that.
All right, Dave, you.
Well, mine isn't as bad, but I remember it with equal horror. This is going to date me a little bit for you two young kids here, but in my day, in junior high, there was something called Z Cavaricis.
Oh,
do you guys remember
yeah.
Z Cavaricis? Means nothing to you.
Are you
Do you
serious?
I don't
remember
know
Z
what that is.
Cavaricis?
Yeah.
Sounds like a fancy restaurant.
They were these. Yeah, it does sound like a fancy restaurant. They were these. It was pants, and basically it said Z Cavarici
Yeah.
on the fly, and they were, kind of slacks, but they had pockets in really weird places, and it was like all the rage when I was in maybe 7th, 8th grade.
And you always wear it with your woven belt.
Oh, ridiculous woven belt, and I had a lariat. Like a little Texan, like a Texan
bolo
oil.
tie?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like a Texan oil
I
tycoon.
wish we had images of
Yeah.
both these outfits.
I'm gonna try
Epic.
to find one. I'll tweet it out. But
We're like the island of misfit toys.
wait, the worst thing about the Z Cavarici pants, so everyone had them, and I remember all my friends had a lot. I only had one pair. I was allowed to get one pair, which then I ended up wearing like every freaking day because everyone else had them on every day. But it only had one pocket. So some of them had a lot of pockets. Mine only had one pocket. That's the way we went. But I
You can only
remember
afford one pocket.
I would be walking around school all day long trying to find my other pocket. Like I could never adjust to not having two pockets. That's not normal. So we've all done things.
You have to have pictures of that.
I'm gonna see what I can find.
All right, I would love that. You guys saw my Chola pictures. I would say that's like my biggest regret. But another thing is when I was in like 11th and 12th grade, I had like this obsession with being overly dressed at school. Like I would show up in quinceañera dresses and stuff like that.
Shut up.
Not literally, but very close. Very close.
Like party dresses.
I was overly dressed all the time. And I remember the very first concert I ever went to was when I was a senior in high school, believe it or not. And big concert. And it was Incubus. And my friends were like, Anna, we're going to a concert. It's a rock concert. Please do not dress up, like wear jeans and flats because you're going to be uncomfortable. And I was like, shut the fuck up. I'm going to wear what I want. I remember I showed up with like a bootleg Fendi purse and like pointy stiletto shoes that were bright pink, basically the stuff I wear now. And I looked like a clown. People were staring. They were like, why is this girl so overly? I was wearing like a big tulle poofy skirt. Like I looked
Did you have like
a mess.
an umbrella, even though it wasn't raining? I can picture you twirling an umbrella.
No, but I can imagine me doing something like that. Like I was ridiculous.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's what I would like to wear back in the day. But I want to know what you guys looked. I want to know what you guys look like when you were wearing bad things, okay? So comment in the section below. Tell me. I wish you can share pictures because that would be cool. And also, what do you make of the penis necklace? Do you find it offensive or do you think that it's totally fine? Comment in the section below and we'll see you guys soon. Everyone can agree that toilet paper is a crucial element of our everyday lives, but for Jade Sylvester, it's super special. Apparently, when she became pregnant, she's a mother of 5, by the way, she started getting this weird craving for toilet paper. So she started eating a roll of toilet paper a day, okay? Let me give you her exact quote, that tattoo though. She says, 2 months into the pregnancy, I started craving toilet paper or toilet rolls. I still don't know why. I like the feeling of the texture in my mouth rather than the taste. I like the dryness. My family tells me it isn't very good for me, but I can't help it. Jade, all you need to do is hire me to make you some chicken breast because if you want something dry in your mouth, just take a bite of that. All right. Gina,
I didn't know where you were going with that. I did not know where.
I just can't make chicken breast juicy.
Listen, my guy can make you some juicy chicken.
He's all about the juice.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll have you over and we'll do
Yes.
we'll do a juicy chicken
Off.
testaroo. Yeah.
Gina, make your point.
I can't even speak because I have such a thick throat right now, but I will try. I think this happens to like some pregnant women. They get these weird mineral deficiencies. They start eating dirt, they eat chalk, they eat all kinds of crazy stuff because they have these deficiencies. Go to a doctor. I don't know what else to say. Stop eating couch cushions and toilet paper, whatever the hell you're doing. Don't do that.
I've seen that couch cushion woman. She's got
Oh,
problems.
that was
you think
so horrible.
You think the toilet paper woman has problems. You should see the couch
it's
cushion
real.
lady.
It's real.
Oh my God.
One of them eats Ajax and like Clorox, like those pixie sticks. Like,
How is she alive?
I don't know, but that's the thing. Your body's craving. There's some sort of mineral deficiency. Go get it looked at.
Just really quick to buttress your point. I remember when
Buttress, toilet paper.
You did
You see
it.
what
I
she?
did it.
Okay.
Right before I went to the doctor to get like a blood test or whatever, I had like this unstoppable craving for eggs. Like I wanted eggs breakfast, afternoon, dinner, whatever. I just wanted eggs all the time. I went and got a blood test just to make sure everything was okay. I had a B12 deficiency.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Your body tells
tell
you
you.
things. So if you're craving something like that, you probably do have a
Get yourself some Charmin.
Yeah.
Right, was this double
That.
apply? You know, what was she doing? You know, makes you wonder. I would say that this lovely lady should just try eating a whole bunch of saltines. Have you guys ever done that? Like, have you ever been like drunk at a college party and they're like, how many saltines can you eat in 30 seconds? I mean, your mouth gets so dry, you literally can't even get 2 down because it just sucks all the liquid out. So that would be a slightly more sensible way. The sodium probably wouldn't be great for her, but it might be in the long term better for her than eating a roll of toilet paper.
How do you digest toilet paper? Oh, I don't want to think about that.
And what do you use to wipe after?
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
right?
Lord.
Yeah. Okay, so what is one food or drink that almost everyone loves but you don't, Dave?
So everybody, and I'm sure you two are included, love sushi, and
You don't like sushi?
I don't love the sushi. Well, first off, I'm allergic to shellfish, so I'm allergic to shrimp and lobster, so that takes out like half the menu right there. And I just don't. They say it's an acquired
It is.
taste.
I was just going to say that.
And, you know, I like soy sauce, and I like tuna, and I like salmon, but there's some, you know what it is? I don't like the, when you get the seaweed roll on the outside.
A lot of people
I don't like
the seaweed
That's
roll.
the
A
trick.
lot of people don't like it.
I can do it
Rice
with
on the
rice
outside,
on the outside. I can do it,
always.
but a lot of times you forget to ask, you know, and then and there's something about the. I guess you know what? I have the reverse of what this woman has because I don't like that texture on my tongue, that seaweed texture. She loves it in the toilet paper.
That's man, I could eat sushi every day for the rest of my life and not be sick of it. I just
You
the
know,
best.
and this might gross some people out. It's actually my hangover food. Not that I'm hungover a lot, but it's like dry, it's simple.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have a lot of flavor to it. It's just very bland. And
I'm sure the
like
rice
it.
also
Yes.
absorbs the liquor too.
Yeah, which is exactly counterintuitive to what I'm about to say because I really don't drink that much and I very rarely get hungover. I am the world's worst American because the two things that I'm really not about are beef and alcohol.
Beef and alcohol. Okay.
I haven't had beef since 1993.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't really have a moral stance. I'm from the Midwest. I had enough of it. I lost my taste for it. If I'm starving and someone has a burger and they're like, do you want to bite? I'm like, no, it's not a part of my, I don't see it. It's just not food to me.
Oh my
and
goodness.
people are like, oh, you want a beer? And I'm like, no.
That reminds me of the great line from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. You don't eat meat?
I make lamb.
That's hilarious. By the way, do you eat lamb?
And I always say I'm a confused Jew. I started eating ham a couple years ago, can't stop. I was a vegetarian for years. I've spent nothing but time making up for it.
Okay.
I'm just not a beef person.
Not a beef person. Okay, so if you're an American, I think I'm about to one-up you because the thing that I actually don't like that everyone loves is bacon. Bacon is disgusting. I don't like overly greasy, fatty foods. I hate smoky tastes. So it's smoky, it's greasy, it's fatty. It's just nasty.
So you hate barbecue? I mean, do you hate barbecue?
I mean, I love barbecue. I mean, if you grill
smoky
chicken
and-
breast or something, like, but that's the thing, like, I don't know, there's something about bacon that's like, the fact that it's like cured or something and like it tastes overly processed. Smoky is fine when it comes to certain things, like chicken breast I'll be fine with, but there's something about bacon that just grosses me.
You know, I do love bacon, but if you ever want to really be grossed out by bacon, or if you really want to make sure you never eat bacon again, then just watch any of those documentaries on how they make bacon, because when you see really how they do it, it could seriously turn you off.
Yeah, and also I once went to a fancy restaurant. My boyfriend suggested the pork belly. I was like, that sounds disgusting. It sounds like a massive chunk of bacon, which is what it is. Yeah. He's like, no, trust me, you're gonna love it. It doesn't taste smoky. Ordered it, it was disgusting. Never ordering that again. Wow. Anyway, but tell us what you guys think. What's the most disgusting food for you, but everyone else absolutely loves it? We like hearing these types of stories. And also, have you ever eaten toilet paper? How does it taste? Let us know. Comment in the section below, and we'll see you soon. 21-year-old Anthony Smith was busted in his front yard in Florida masturbating. Apparently, one of the neighbors saw him masturbating and they called 911, shocked by what was happening. Apparently, he was bending down naked in the driveway, and then he apparently stood up and dashed back into the house. Now, when cops showed up, they were like, what the hell, dude? Why do you have your junk out in the front yard? You're not supposed to do that. And apparently, he was upset. This 21-year-old was upset that his mother wouldn't allow him to watch pornography in the house, so he thought that he would teach her a valuable lesson by masturbating in the front yard. What do you guys think about this? Gina, make your point.
I mean, he's kind of right.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you supporting this guy?
When you told me, he's like, you're not letting me do something that like most people do in the privacy of their own domicile. All right, I'm gonna do it anyway. Guess I'll do it by the lawn gnome. Like, I get. I mean, I'm not saying I would do it, and I would appreciate seeing my neighbor do it, but like, I applaud his point he was trying to make.
He's not 15, he's 21.
I know.
Okay, you are an adult.
I appreciate him trying to make his point.
Look, okay, if
People like that. When you say the name of the show in the show, people like that. That's the thing that people like.
all of a sudden I agree with you, Gina.
Yeah.
Good job. No, I mean, look, if you really, like, I'm a woman, right? So I wouldn't masturbate, but like, let's say I really needed to like diddle myself, and like, my mom's like, no diddling in the house. Like, I can find another place that's private to do my business, right?
And maybe I'm thinking about this more as like a Key and Peele sketch or like some crazy comedy. And if I saw it in my front yard, like, would I be excited about it? No. But as a concept, like, I respect the comedy factor of this. Like, she said, don't do it in the house. All right, fuck you.
Yeah. All right.
Fuck
All right,
me.
well-
Interesting that he chose the front instead of the back.
It's funny on so many levels.
Yeah.
I can't get mad at him.
Okay, well, I masturbated. I was about to say I mastered in masturbation. I just said I masturbated. So there's a Freudian slip for you. Yes, my first question is, why not go to the backyard? What's
Right.
happening in the backyard? Are they doing construction back there? Is it a big mess? Did they never fix the backyard? But why not just go to the backyard? Like, doing it out front, then you're being a voyeur. So if he's into that,
Yeah.
then that explains all this.
Maybe
he
he-
wants to be seen doing this. But also, really, this is more about his mother than about him, because this woman must be on him like a hawk. If he can't find a room, no matter how small that house is, figure it's got a bathroom, a kitchen, there's at least one bedroom, and like, if the mom's wandering, like, you got to be able to get around that house. It's like a video game, but you got to be around to get around that house so you can jerk off.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So I think he wants to be seen. That's what's really going on.
Okay, so going back to his mother, the point I'd like to make is she should just allow him to do what he needs to do, okay? Masturbation is natural, and the worst thing that could happen to a man or a woman is, you know, suppressing your sexual appetite or your sexual urges, right? I think it makes people crazy, and in some cases makes people violent. I don't know if that would happen
It also
with
makes
this
people
guy.
vote Republican. So.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. So if I were you as a mother, just understand that this is going to happen whether you like it or not. Okay, you object to pornography, but sorry, he's going to watch it anyway. He's probably been watching it since he was 12. Okay.
And he will literally take to the streets if you try to stop him.
All right. So would you rather have a parent walk in on you, or would you rather walk in on your parents? That's right. I'm asking you. Don't pretend like you guys don't do that.
This is the Sophie's choice of like the worst like sexual perversion.
Yep.
Please, by all
Want me
means,
to handle this one?
gentlemen first.
Well, actually, I did walk in on my parents having sex once. It was maybe a year or two after college, and I was still living at home. And my bedroom was downstairs. My parents obviously upstairs. And for whatever reason, even though I was out of college already, I used to always, even if I was out late night, whatever it was, 4 in the morning, if I came home, I would always go upstairs and say goodnight. I would just, peek in the room real quick and say goodnight. Such a good son. And one night, I peeked in, and just by my dad had like an old school alarm clock, and just by the blue light of the numbers, I could see what was happening, and he was on top of her, and the blanket was sort of on them, but I could see what was happening. They split like atoms, like scattered across, and then nobody said anything, but I shot downstairs, went to sleep, and I thought, all right, maybe they just heard a creak. They didn't realize that I had caught them. The next morning, my dad called me.
Oh no! Let it go, man.
My
Let it
dad
go.
called me to say, he goes, I don't remember you coming home last night. He had never ever called me before to say anything, like in the morning, like say anything about, so he was calling to just like cover his
Do
tracks.
damage control.
Because I know what he did to my mom, and I wasn't happy about it.
Easy, Oedipus.
I thought you were going to say that your dad was like going to explain, like, I'm sorry you saw that, which would have made
No.
it even more awkward. Right.
Instead, he went with his like little white lie to like somehow trick me to think that I didn't see what it was pretty obvious that I saw.
Papa Rubin.
Yeah.
Come on. Gina,
field this
you
one,
got to
would you?
choose one.
Here's the thing. I have evidence that stacks up in favor of, in general, my parents having more selective vision and selective hearing than I do. I feel like I'm pretty honest, and I'm like, I call bullshit, and God bless them, and I'll probably grow into this. Maybe I will. I don't know. They're more like, I don't see what is this? So possibly if they could use that superpower, it might be easier on everybody if it's me, because I can't unsee. I don't have that power. What about you? Can we just...
Yeah, I would be devastated if my super conservative parents saw me in the act. I think my dad might kill himself.
It'd be like a murder-suicide thing. Yeah.
So I guess I would rather catch my parents. I mean, we didn't have a discussion about how long we have to look, so it would be like a split second.
That's all it takes,
and that's
Anna.
it. I know, but hopefully it would be a similar situation where they're under blankets.
The blanket.
My
Thank God for the blanket.
There's no way my parents still have sex. I'm in that boat of denial.
You have to believe that.
I don't want to, let's not, ugh. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Why don't you guys talk about this?
Yeah.
Would you rather have your parents walking on you, or would you rather walking on your parents? And also comment on this story. What do you think about this poor man who got caught masturbating in broad daylight? Comment in the section below. We'll see you guys soon. The Huffington Post recently wrote a piece kind of exploring some of the crazy things people thought about vaginas in history. And some of these myths are absolutely hilarious. We're going to give you the list and we'll discuss as we go along. Number one, some women's vaginas have teeth. That was actually a myth of the tooth vagina. It was called... dentate? I don't even know what the hell that is. Anyway, it was a legitimate anxiety expressed in cultural folklore all over the world. I guess that was used to convince people not to have sex. I don't know. Women's vaginas are just penises that got cold. Now, that's actually, look, I kind of like that myth.
It got so cold it went up.
Yeah, it went up. No, I
in
kind of
there.
like that myth because if you look at human anatomy, the female genitalia is actually very similar to male genitalia. It's just inside as opposed to outside.
And when
also,
testicles get cold, they ascend.
yes. And also the clitoris, if you will, if it's enlarged through steroids or whatever, it oftentimes looks like a freaking penis.
Wait, they're enlarging clitorises with steroids?
No, it's a side effect of taking
God.
steroids.
Oh.
Yeah. No.
Wait, so steroids give you a big clit and a
That's
small penis?
so
Yes.
upsetting.
Well, that says something right there. We got to call somebody.
All right.
Does anyone...
College education stresses the brain and destroying the womb. So basically, that means that if you have a college education, then you're basically destroying your womb.
Right, well, that's true. That was
Yeah,
Of
duh.
course, duh. Women can't get pregnant unless they have consensual sex.
Yeah, it shuts that whole thing down.
Yeah.
Shuts
Shuts
the
it
whole
down.
thing down. Now, you would probably think, oh, this is probably from like the late 1700s, right? No, of course, as you guys know, that was Todd Aiken in 2012. Asian women have sideways vaginas.
I know someone who thought that.
No way. Who the fuck thought that?
Yep.
All right, sworn to secrecy. Women's menstrual blood is potentially life-threatening to men. Maybe not the blood, but the mood that comes along with my menstrual cycle could be life-threatening to men.
Yeah.
So let's just quickly talk about this summary here. What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, I don't know how much I can really offer to this conversation. I think it's great that you guys have vaginas, and I didn't know you had so many problems with them, but...
We don't, you do.
Yeah, no, the teeth thing, I mean, that's a lot. But that would be, I guess, good if you were a dentist and a gynecologist.
A gynodentist.
A gynodentist, you could do both. You would be there's a profession there. That's
Right, yeah.
Isn't it amazing how men spend so much time trying to get the pussy? And then they spend so much time like fear-mongering about the pussy. You got to make up your mind, dude. Do you want it or do you not want it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, are these facts or are these campfire, like, scary stories? Because that's, I don't think I'm taking a huge leap here by saying this sounds less like, scientific pontification and more just we're men, we don't care, we're being oppressive, and this is a good way to keep everybody under our thumb. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yep, absolutely.
Literally.
So what did you guys think sex was before you found out what it really was? Dave?
So I think I told this story on the first ever episode of the newly revamped Point. I remember my dad telling my brother and I what sex was. We were in the car on the North Service Road in Syosset, Long Island, and he was driving very fast. I vividly remember that. He was driving very fast, and he started telling us, man, put penis in the vagina, the whole thing. And it turned out that the reason he was telling us was because my mom was pregnant, and she was about to tell us that she was pregnant, so my dad was giving us a little precursor. But I remember when he told us, thinking that I wanted to jump out of the car. Like that, listening to this, hearing these words coming from my dad and all that, that I really thought about just opening the door and like flying out of the car. And he was driving very fast. He wasn't that happy about the conversation either, I guess. So I don't know what I thought about it before that. Like, what did I actually think sex was?
Yeah.
I really don't remember. Like, I remember maybe being in 3rd grade and hearing about what a blowjob was. And it just all sounded ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like when you're a kid, it just all sounds ridiculous. Now I know it's pretty good.
Gina, what about you?
When I was growing up, we were the cool kids on the block that were the first to have cable and deep cable and a la carte channels and all this stuff. So Skinamax raised me for the most part. But I think the first sexual act I ever saw on TV was when we watched Revenge of the Nerds. So now that I think about it, my earliest sexual memory, what I thought sex was wearing a Darth Vader mask rolling around in a moon bounce.
Oh my God.
That's all I knew. And I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it was something I wasn't supposed to be watching, so it must be something that only adults do.
Just real quick, I have very vivid memories of the same thing with Revenge of the Nerds. There were a couple movies at that time. Porky's was another one where they were these like teen or college sex romps, and you never really figured out what sex was. You knew the guys wanted it real bad.
You didn't know what it was, but you knew you were really close by.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought that sex was just two people kissing naked. I didn't realize it had anything to do with genitalia or anything like that. I was like, yeah, you just kiss naked and then bada bing, bada boom, you get pregnant.
And how glad are you that that's not true?
Pretty freaking glad, especially when I became newly single and started going to clubs and making out with random people. So I'm pretty happy about that. Anyway, what did you guys think sex was before you found out? And have you ever believed in any crazy vagina myths? Have you heard any vagina myths that we didn't cover in this video? Comment in the section below. We love hearing from you guys, and we'll see you soon. People are dyeing their armpit hair. This is apparently a new trend that KTLA recently reported on, and it sounds crazy. We have some pictures of it. Apparently a photo of one person who dyed their armpit went viral. So that's sexy, isn't it? There's another one. I don't know why people are doing this, and it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's my point. What do you guys think? Dave, make your point.
Yeah, it's kind of gross, actually. I know this, look, I get it with, girls and armpit hair, and, some girls want to be natural and some don't. It just does seem kind of, like my just visceral reaction, it just seems kind of gross. I know that's probably sexist or somehow something evil.
We have to be sensitive to all communities.
We have to be sensitive to all communities. I apologize in advance.
Okay, Gina.
Yeah, I think it's okay that most of us are grossed out by it, but I also think it's okay to understand that culturally it's just not something we experience. It's not something that I'm down with. Like I have friends that grow out their armpit hair. That's cool. I'm used to seeing it. It doesn't bother me either way. But in general, it's just not part of our culture. And that's okay that it's just, we're not into it. It's not something that we're used to seeing. But those chicks were pretty cute, and they were trying to do something that was kind of like cute and kitschy, and I don't know, for me, just from what I'm used to seeing and the people I interact with, it doesn't bother me. If I saw it on the street, I'd probably go, and that'd be the end of it. So, whatever.
I mean, look, I try not to be judgmental just because it's something that I wouldn't do myself, but whenever I see things like this, I think about whether or not I would do it, right? Yeah. So I see those images, and I'm like, I wouldn't do that. I have no interest in that. But by all means, if this is your form of expression, go for it.
But would it freak you out if someone was like, ooh?
No, I don't think it would freak me out. I would have the same reaction. I would be like, and then I would just move on with my life. But yeah, when I say it makes me uncomfortable, it makes me uncomfortable thinking of me in that position with bright orange or bright pink armpit hair. I've actually lasered all of my unwanted hair.
I have too.
All of it. Okay, so I have no hair in my armpits whatsoever.
What you guys have to deal with, man.
And I get it. I get the whole we don't want to conform to a male expectation of beauty or whatever, but it's also my expectation of beauty for myself. So I don't know. I like being hairless. Anyway, here's a question for the story. What's one trend you followed but would never do again? Dave.
I don't know that I've ever publicly admitted this, but I don't know, what year was Jersey Shore very popular? What year was its peak, Jersey Shore? We're in 2014, so maybe 2008, something like that. When they were all very tan. And there was a time, there was about a 6-month period where I was using that self-tanner pretty pretty intensely. I was slopping that shit all over my face and whatever. And you look good. You do look good. There are good ones where you look good. But in retrospect, well, now I live in LA. There's a little more sun out here, but in retro, like you're just putting slime all over yourself, and God knows what's in all that stuff.
Look, if you don't end up looking orange, I think that's a freaking win-win.
Then it's a win?
I only did one spray tan, and I was so bright orange that it traumatized me. Now I won't put any self-tanner on. I'm so afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you something? Self-tanner was my first thought for my trend, but I got to tell you, I don't work for them. They don't pay me, but I love their product. Saint-Tropez mousse. That shit's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
I was using a L'Oreal.
Oh, honey.
No,
and I haven't used it. You're reminding me I actually have to start again because I love that shit. But for the second thing that came to mind, because we thought we were amazing and we looked amazing afterwards. I don't know, Anna, if you're going to remember this, but neither of you are going to remember this because you're too young and you're not a lady. So there used to be a big trend with the ladies of just bright yellow, like streaks in the hair. We thought they were blonde.
Yes.
They were kind of corn
Yes.
silk. So the way to do that at home is you put on an old lady rain bonnet and it comes with holes.
Yes.
And you take the crochet hook
Yes.
and you pull your hair through like a really sad scarecrow.
Yes.
And then your friend comes by and just paints all over. You leave it and you wait and you go, oh, I'm going to look so pretty. And then you take it off. Voila, you look ridiculous.
Yes.
And I did it all the time.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I
Great.
do. I never did it, but my best friend's mother did it. And I remember walking in as they were like mid-dye.
Yep.
And she had like strands
Yep.
of hair coming out of every place.
A sad, wet scarecrow.
It was disastrous.
Yes.
Oh my God. All right, so I'm actually thinking back to 7th grade. That's how far I'm thinking back, when there was this obsession with butterfly clips. Do you remember this?
Oh, yes. The little
There
like
was-
ruby, the encrusted, jewel encrusted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone, every girl, if you wanted to be trendy, you had to wear butterfly clips. And I remember there were like these little plastic ones that I would go like this and do it, and then like right here too and do it, and then right here and do it. So like my hair was just like, there was a rainbow of butterfly clips, and I looked so stupid, and I thought it was so hot. I'm like, oh my God, all the guys like my butterfly clips. So stupid.
It almost sounds like you were wearing a bowl of Lucky Charms.
I look like it. I look like it. It was ridiculous. Anyway, I would never do that again. But I was in 7th grade. I was like 12.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Live and learn, live and learn.
Anyway, tell us about a trend that you followed that you feel embarrassed about and would never do again. And also, what do you think about the women dyeing their armpits? If you're a guy watching the show, I know we have a pretty sizable male audience. What would you do if you met this insanely hot woman and you really wanted to date her, and then you guys are about to like do the deed and you realize that she has bright orange armpit hair? Would that turn you off? I want to hear. Comment in the section below, and we'll see you guys soon. All right, guys, that does it for today's show. Double-decker, super long show, but super fun.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. I want to give you guys a chance to plug some of your work. I know the audience, for the most part, already knows you, but just in case, Dave Rubin, tell them more about yourself.
Dear God, people, do you not know me already? YouTube.com/Rubin Report, Twitter.com/Rubin Report, Facebook.com/Dave Rubin, and I can't give my home address, right? I'm not supposed to do that anymore.
You probably shouldn't do that.
Won't do the home address.
Yeah,
okay.
don't do that. Gina Grad.
Gina Grad. It's, just Google it. Gina Grad, Instagram, Twitter, ginagrad.co, C-O, and Facebook, and I think there's a Vine. I don't know what kind of relics you're going to find on there. But follow me and let's be e-friends.
Wait, real quick, can we mention what happened to Gina's phone right before we started? Because
yes.
she's in mourning right now.
Yeah, there is something, I'm just freaked out. Like, I carry my phone everywhere. I know my case is in the car, lesson learned. But we're just sitting here having a totally pleasant conversation, and I go to make sure it's on airplane mode. And I look at it, and it is totally shattered.
Okay, can we just have a really quick discussion about iPhones? So I have my Samsung. This is not an ad for Samsung, okay? I have never had an issue with a cracked screen. I feel like everyone I know who's had an iPhone has had to deal with a cracked screen.
I've done that at least 3 times with iPhones.
What the? I mean, Apple is supposed to be a quality product. I get it. It's aesthetically pleasing, but I feel like it's the most fragile thing on the planet.
It is. And don't get me started on the quality control issue. But literally, I didn't drop it. I didn't do anything. We were just hanging out, and I was like, well, what in the hell happened? I have no idea.
Well, I will tell you this.
crazy.
Go to the Apple store, and I literally have done this. I've used Jedi mind tricks on them, and I'll be like, can you replace this? And I just do like a minor wave of the hand, and they've done it. So it can be done.
That's
I will
awesome.
report back immediately.
I gotta learn
I did
that.
it recently with the Firewire thing.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. You guys can check me out Monday through Friday on The Young Turks, youtube.com/The Young Turks, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time for our live stream. And also follow me on Twitter at Ana Kasparian, Instagram, Ana Kasparian TYT, and my personal channel, youtube.com/Ana Kasparian. We'll see you guys soon. Of course, we're going to have our holiday break. But when the new year starts, fresh new episode of The Point. So have a great holiday season, and we'll see you guys soon. Performing video of the year on The Point was the world's worst tattoos. You guys seem to really, really like that topic, and we're actually bringing it back with some fresh tattoos that we can all judge and make fun of. So, look, I feel bad because these are permanent mistakes that people have made, but nonetheless, we don't show you their identity, and let's discuss. Let's take a look at the first one.
Oh, no.
I
Lord
guess-
Jesus, why?
Tim Burton loves chess.
Oh, God.
I
That's
guess we
horrible.
do show you their identity.
Yeah, that's a little identity there.
Once you go black, you never. I kind of like that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
it's
saying
not
something.
aesthetically pleasing, but I think it's cute.
She's a terrible person who means well.
Yeah.
Oh, Anna. Oh, poor Anna.
Poor Anna.
I think that tattoo is
It's
fine.
a bit much.
It's fine.
It's a bit much.
Let's move on.
Anna.
Joe's what? Prickly cucumber?
Joe's pink
Oh,
flapper.
flapper.
And Sarah's prickly Oh.
Romance.
Wow, that's.
You know what? At the end of the day, I'm glad those two found each other, and this guy deserves the Darwin Award.
I mean, this one is something. This is like, I get it why it's. He has a skin condition, although, by her foot, her upper foot.
Yeah.
No,
That
no,
he
because somebody grabbed him and was like, what the hell is wrong with you?
That's hilarious.
I mean,
I'm
that's
glad that he
frickin'
didn't
bush.
actually get into detail
You know
about the
what?
vagina.
I respect this guy because so many people you
Yeah.
actually have to get to know before you realize you don't want to be friends with them, and
Right.
this guy puts it out there.
Yeah,
You're-
transparency is the best policy.
Yeah, but what is he really like? Do you think he's fun? He really is a racist, and he's going, "This is who I am," or is he flipping it on? Okay, he's got a swastika, sort of.
Yeah.
Or something by his eye too.
He didn't want you to have to get too close to him. Oh, he's a brand ambassador.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Virgin on hold. She's,
Void. Oh,
Void. Void.
Oh, because she's pregnant?
like
Question mark?
this is the type that a woman gets when she's probably, this girl's probably like 21 or something, and that she regrets she has to regret
You know
that
what?
the rest of her life.
And
right?
out of everything to regret, I regret the font. Because that is a big,
It's
bold
yes.
statement.
Wow.
No ledges power.
That can't be. Make your point.
Well, my point is that I can picture the lawyers that when the guy got the thing and he was like, whoa, someone's suing because somebody's vagina was shown on TV, and he's looking at the paper and he's like, we got a serious case. I'm going to make it was Dating Naked. That was the name of the show, so I guess we're probably not going to win this case.
Yeah. Gina, I think that's a great point. What about you?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I would just like to take this time to remember my favorite scene ever from Arrested Development, where they're talking about something that happened in Saudi Arabia, and they're saying, oh, this is the rolling hills and this is the desert, and they take a closer look, and Henry Winkler goes, no, those are balls. It's just a zoom in close up. So it's basically the same thing. This woman she didn't have a leg to stand on or a vagina labial lip.
All right, so here's the question for the story. Have you ever had to suffer the consequences of making a really bad decision? Gina, I'm going to start with you.
It's because I'm making this face.
Yeah.
I've had to learn a lot of things the hard way in terms of being on the radio. I've sort of been able to cultivate how much I am now willing to share and what makes sense to me and what's sort of a meaningful split between my personal life and feeling like I'm being authentic when I'm talking to people.
Right.
One really important milestone in my life was when I was doing a big radio show in LA that I used to do all the time. And I really overstepped my own personal comfort zone by explaining a lot of stuff that was going on in my personal relationship. And after I did that, first of all, my boyfriend, who had every right to be upset, was understandably angry. I felt like I betrayed myself, I betrayed him, and that actually took me a long time to get over and get him to forgive me, to forgive myself. And that actually was a great learning experience for me, because now I've sort of found a way to finesse the situation, and I never lie, but I share what I'm comfortable with, I hold back what I'm not comfortable with, and then I can just do what I do with confidence.
Wow. Wow, that's a really good life lesson, something that I can probably learn from. So.
I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure everyone in the world of talk and whatever it is that we do, there's probably a bajillion examples that we could all think of.
Absolutely.
Of that.
Well, what about you, Dave? Why don't you give an example?
Well, I'll go to the career thing as well. I remember when I first started stand-up, I was maybe 2 years in, and my first couple years I was really successful when I was very young, or in the stand-up world in New York. And I remember there was a club that I really wanted to work at, and I had cultivated a little relationship with the owner there. And one night, basically, he said to me something to the effect of, like, you're not ready yet. You know, you've only been doing this 2 years. All the guys we have on stage have been 8, 10-year guys and paid all their dues. And I basically went off on him like a young hotshot, which in retrospect make no sense, because stand-up, George Carlin says it takes 4 years before you even have any sense of what you're doing, and I was 2 years in, and I basically went off on the guy, and I don't think I ever worked at the club again until he left, which was like 6 years later.
Did it feel good, though, to go off on him in that moment?
In the moment it did, but I swear to you, I remember, as I was saying it, I remember thinking I'm gonna regret this, but once it had started already, you have to just let it go.
Your caveman brain took over, that's what they call it.
Completely took over, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, in those moments it feels real.
No, it feels good, it feels good.
All right, so let me talk about my bad decision. I don't know if I've made any bad decisions. I feel like I make good decisions. No, okay, but to be completely honest with you guys, I guess like a regret that I have is being naive enough to think that people are inherently good, because this job has exposed me to what people are really like, and not within our company. I mean, magically people in our company are inherently good, but working in this show and getting the feedback that I do on a regular basis makes me realize that people are vicious and they're terrible, and it's making me a bitter, angry human being. So I have smartened up and I'm no longer naive, and now I just assume that everyone sucks. So I'm just kidding. I don't assume that everyone sucks. The executive producer is like, wrap it up. No, but you have to understand that not everyone is in the same bubble that you're in, and there are people out there that are vicious, and you need to not let them get under your skin, as they have been doing to me recently. Anyway, but comment in the section below. Tell me what you guys think. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you guys soon. Our second best reality show, known as Naked Dating, right? Now, of course, people are going to be into this, nudity, dating. I mean, what could go wrong? Well, it turns out that in one scene, VH1 forgot to censor a woman's vagina. Now, the person that was on the show, Jessie, was outraged by this, and so she attempted to sue for a huge amount of money. If you don't remember the video or the story we did, take a look at this. And one of the stars, a woman by the name of Jessie, was unfortunately portrayed completely naked in one scene. Now, unfortunately, we can't show you the uncensored version, but this was the shot where they showed her Nana, and it was a no-no for her. She was really unhappy about it. All right, so there's the story. Those are the details. What is the update? It turns out that her case has pretty much been shut down, I should say. Why? Because she's on a fucking show called Dating Naked, okay? So she actually signed consent forms stating that she would be naked on the show, and in some cases she might be shown completely naked, right? The agreements that she signed as a condition to participate on the program are described by the producers as unequivocal. In that Dating Naked was confirmed the right to film her in the nude, that the footage would be telecast without restriction, and that she waived any claims arising out of her appearance on the show. Before I get to the panelists so you guys can make your point, I want to actually respond to one of the comments on the original YouTube video we did. It has the most number of upvotes. The person commented arguing that I'm against showing leaked images of those celebrities, right? There was that big hack and all these celebrity nudes were all over the internet, and I was condemning those who did the hack and condemning those that were showing it in the media. And then they made the argument that, well, you're showing this girl's vagina on the show, what the hell? First of all, we showed you a censored version of it so you guys can understand why this woman was suing. We didn't show you her pussy, okay? And another thing that I want to state is there's a little difference between someone consenting to be on a show called Naked Dating And then celebrities who have done nothing wrong having their personal privacy violated like that. If you don't understand that, then you have some issues. Let's open it up to the panel. Dave, let me start with you. What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Ana Kasparian, and we have another double-decker show for you guys. Now, this one is definitely light on the serious news stories, very heavy on the salacious stuff, but we're going to have a fun conversation because we have two returning panelists that you guys all love. We have Dave Rubin, who hasn't been on the show in a while, but I'm glad you're back.
It's good to be back.
And
I know people in high places when it comes to the Point.
Now, for those of you who don't know Dave Rubin, you're ridiculous. You should check him out on youtube.com/The Rubin Report. He's the host of The Rubin Report for the TYT Network. And we also have Gina Grad. She's also a returning panelist and host of the Gina Grad Show on iTunes and iHeartRadio. Gina, loving the sock bun.
Thank you.
Rocking it.
And is it R.I.P. to you in the sock bun life now?
Not forever.
Okay.
I cut my hair. It's much shorter, so sock bun situation wouldn't really work. But I'm glad that this is forcing me to keep my hair down because I was putting my hair up like 5 days a week.
You look like a really sexy astronaut wife. Like just very, it's very, you know what I mean? Very clean, very like sexy, but like put together.
Thank
if that
you.
makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know that I can add much to the sock bun thing because I obviously haven't done it in years. But my great-grandma used to have the bun, and I remember going into her bedroom once when I was like 8 or 9, and it was not attached to her. It was a fake bun.
Yes,
She had a fake bun. That's like a real thing.
A lady has to have her secrets.
Shit.
All right.
Serious stuff.
So aside from my haircut, what are we talking about on the show today? We are actually going to revisit the two most viral stories we covered on The Point. We're going to give you an update on the VH1 show that accidentally showed a woman's vagina. And I'm actually going to respond to a comment I read in the original video we did. We're also revisiting the worst tattoos of all time. Apparently you guys like that topic, so we're bringing you back some fresh, new, devastating tattoos. And then we're going to get to some new stuff. Tom Ford's penis crucifix, what the fuck is that? I'll tell you. And
I love that band, by the way.
And also 6 crazy things people used to think about vaginas. All right, so let's move on to the very first topic. Earlier this year, we did a story about a VH1 reality